We're now going to talk with local attorney Tim Anderson, who has been in the forefront of following Governor Northam's restrictions in general and how they apply to shooting ranges and Second Amendment rights in specific. Tim, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Tell us the latest with pending litigation and where things stand with the ability of shooting ranges to open before Friday and then as we move forward.
All right. So Governor Northam issued Executive Order 53, which was the restrictions orders that affected businesses. So then one of the provision that deals with shooting ranges is that they were clumped in with the other entertainment industries, such as bowling alleys and skating rinks. And so he ordered those closed. Can't have an indoor shooting range anywhere in Virginia under Order 53.
Regardless of distance.
Regardless of distancing. So the VCDL and gun owners.
For our fans who don't know, the Virginia Defense League.
Virginia Citizens Defense League. It's kind of like the NRA, but it's a Virginia group of gun owners, and they advocate for Second Amendment rights. They're really the only organization in Virginia that is Virginia-based and is in the front lines of Second Amendment stuff as a community and as a group. So the VCDL and then the GOA, which is the Gun Owners of America national group, teamed up with a gun range out in Lynchburg called Safe Side Tactical. They filed an injunction lawsuit saying that the governor didn't have authority to issue gun ranges to be closed. Second Amendment, there's some case law, and won't go too much in the weeds, but Second Amendment protects our right to own and bear arms, but also to train with arms. And so the General Assembly, when Governor Northam was actually on the General Assembly and Attorney General Herring were all in there at that time, passed a law that restricted the governor from using his emergency powers to infringe on the Second Amendment.
Well, that's quite ironic. He was in the state Senate.
He was in the state Senate in like 2011. And so the VCDL said, hey, governor may have some authority to close down bowling alleys, but he doesn't have the authority to close down gun ranges. So the Attorney General fought like hell. They kicked it over to federal court. Federal court said it doesn't belong here, kicked it back. And then the Lynchburg Circuit Court judge wrote a pretty scathing opinion about it, that Governor Northam had, the Attorney General was completely wrong in all of their arguments and didn't have any right to issue an order enjoining gun ranges from being closed, but limited his injunction only to Safe Side Tactical. So Safe Side Tactical is the only gun range in Virginia that could be open because they had an injunction for enforcement of that order on their business. So I believe that a gun shop in Richmond filed a similar lawsuit, got a similar result. But other than that, there's really only two ranges that were open until now.
Now I'm curious, are those decisions written decisions, something that other establishments could rely on?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what the Richmond case did. So the Richmond case looked at Lynchburg. Of course, obviously, if Lynchburg Circuit Court says something that doesn't bind Virginia Beach to it, it's a persuasive opinion, but not a binding decision. But I think that the Richmond courts also found that the governor didn't have that authority. He cannot close gun ranges using his emergency police powers. And so as a result, Governor Order 61, which is phase 1, is going to allow gun ranges to reopen on Friday statewide, following standard 6-foot distancing rules, and they can only use every other lane, and their employees have to have masks. But all gun ranges in Virginia will be allowed to reopen on Friday.
That's May 15th.
Friday, May 15th.
Well, wonderful. Hopefully the point will be moot, and the Second Amendment rights won't be any further infringed, and the rights to operate your business won't. Putting on your other hat, Tim, I know that you're a father of several young children. How is this going to affect the travel sports leagues?
Yeah, we get that question. We're getting that question a lot. So phase 1 is pretty restrictive. All right, and now phase 1 is interesting. Because phase 1 starts on Friday the 15th, except now in Northern Virginia, because the governor just issued Executive Order 62 today, which delays Northern Virginia from even going into phase 1 until May 29th. So at their request, at the regional group's request.
Many folks think that Northern Virginia ought to have its own way of doing things.
A little
so
timeout will
probably
make it.
Will not be met with any objection from the rest of the Commonwealth.
And a lot of the business owners up there are furious. but anyway, that's what happened. So nonetheless, May 15th, phase one starts. Now, May 15th, there are prohibitions still about gatherings of more than 10. So if you have a kid who's on a baseball traveling team or soccer team, you're not going to see those form right now. How long is phase one going to last? Governor has said anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. He's pretty much never stayed true to anything he said about those timelines. So you're probably looking not until beginning of July before we go into phase two. Now, will phase two allow traveling teams? Who knows? But he has said that phase two will probably be groups of 50. So assuming that's the case, then that would allow, 18, 20 kids on a ball field to scrimmage with each other and play games. So we'll probably see phase two allow those traveling teams to start kind of taking place. But again, no way to know for sure what he's going to do. And obviously, that could be even more delayed if you're traveling up to Northern Virginia and they're still in phase one and we're in phase two. So you got to watch all that.
Well, excellent point. And to be fair to the governor, there's been a moving target with this virus. And I guess as the data changes, the restrictions change. But what I'm hearing then is 4 to 6 weeks from May 15th. So the end of June, we ought to be hopefully into phase two, which will allow groups of 50 or larger, allowing for organized sports.
Yeah. And, obviously that would also require like the beaches to have to reopen because, if you have like the sand soccer league and things like that, the beaches are closed unless you're exercising. And would that be exercising? It would depend upon the group. So there's a lot of moving parts to what he's doing. And we're just going to have to watch and see. But my money would say beginning of July, we're going to start seeing the traveling teams reopen.
Good. Well, thank you.